I am streaming live. No issues, connection issues. What the hell? Yeah, upcoming. I think on the way pulang tu. Aku mencari level Brunei bah. Ada ni. What the hell? Yang aku sakit hati Atuk kata ni yang kan tuduh mak atuk start the fire. Eh, lagi sakit hati orang yang punca nak akan tangkap. Hmm. Okay, so nothing atuk. That's annoying. Oh, well. Ada pelang ni? Arah aku ada sudah live. No viewers tu. What? What? Yeah, it's working. It's working. Thank you. I'm just waiting for confirmation that we are live. Arah my side it's live, but arah. Oh, and what happened? Okay, I am live. I am live. And disconnected. Reschedule the live. Probably the internet. Macam tapi aku nampak di sini Ijong yang tadi ada apa? No, ada error, ada issues macam tadi ah. Tadi ada macam disconnect, reconnecting. Ini dari tadi live, no loss atau no loss atau apa namanya? No loss frames. Jap. What is this? Okay, sama. Okay, live. Oh, hello. It's atau. Yeah, it's on. So I had to siap ni. So start 3:15. main record live saya recorded live. Okay. Okay. Going live. 3, 2. Itu kalau gambar. Kalau live. Okay, we'll just cut that out later. Okay. Jap, I need my monitor. Jap, sini. Dapat terberhenti? Nah, okay. Okay. Nampak aku tunjukkan mobile saya. Okay, nampak Okay, cool. Okay, welcome to episode 6, Market Research, Understanding Your Market. Okay. What the? Lambat my itu. Let's that again. Okay, apologies to yang baru masuk. Kalau ada yang masuk, but had connection issues, but we'll probably cut this out lah. But we'll start it off now lah. So welcome to LiveWIRE live stream episode 6 on market research, specifically on understanding your market. Okay, these are what we're gonna look into. So introduction to series and streamer, especially if you're first time here. Then we'll go into the main parts, the market research basics, the methodology and approach, and then the context of market research and business plan, business model canvas, and lean canvas. Then of course we'll share live programs that you can participate in learning more about market research or any other topics. And then let's look into introduction. So the introduction to the stream itself is a series of entrepreneurship topics. The snippets will be used for video content for online referrals. And then topics shared will be a summary of workshop contents. So you can actually learn more when you join the live workshops. And despite it being live, online live streaming, you can ask questions. I will check through the chat. If there's any questions, I will answer any questions that you may have. And of course, you may share the live link. So especially if you know someone who might need, who might benefit from this video. Okay, so these are the contents. So we've gone from January till May. Now this is June. So we're covering market research. There will be other topics in the future. So stay tuned. Now, introduction to myself. My full name is Muhammad Fadilullah Tudin Haji Hassan, alias Muhammad Hasbullah Bobby. I'm an entrepreneur, an endurance athlete. I love business, IT, and sciences, and I am an educator. So I'm also the business counselor in LiveWIRE Brunei. So let's go into the main topic. So market research basics. So market research, what is market research? It's a systematic process of research, which is collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information about the market. So the market being the target market, the customers, the competitors, and the industry. So there are types of market research. Generally, there's primary versus secondary research. So primary is first-hand information gathered from original sources. Most people know surveys, but there are other ways of gathering primary data. Other examples are in-depth interviews, focus groups, experiments, and field trials or A/B tests, and then observation. So that's still considered as primary research data. And then we have secondary data, which is information gathered by others that is publicly available. So government reports and studies, they usually publish their yearly annual statistics. Consulting firms, trade or industry-specific journals or magazines, academic papers. In Brunei, there's not a lot, but there are a few institutions like CSPS that publishes a few of this information. And then literature reviews, online articles, case studies, blogs, and computer websites and materials. Your competitors might have had their own research, so you can easily just copy-paste their research. But of course, give credit where credit is due. And then there's the quantitative versus qualitative research. So quantitative research is usually closed-ended questions. Typical is true or false, yes or no, A, B, C, D. This is given to the audience using surveys, polls, or questionnaires. And then responses can easily be combined in statistics to be analyzed objectively. So this is where the research would come up with charts and graphs of percentage of people interested in the product or service or the business. Then we have the qualitative market research. It's usually an open-ended question, usually through interviews, focus groups, and other primary sources. And it's conducted to determine what people think or feel about a certain situation with the goal of obtaining insights and depths of biased perceptions, behavior, and needs. For example, in food, instead of whether do you like it or not, yes or no, then the question would be what do you like about it? A bit more open-ended. Here are a few examples. So quantitative versus qualitative. So quantitative, you might be familiar with questionnaires where again they give you options. Example here, how many text messages do you send a day? So none, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 10 or more. So a list of questions, so people's answer are set, and then from here you can get the data of how many people have no messages a day to 10 plus messages a day. Well, on the other side, qualitative, so there's questions like what are your top priorities, what is the thing that will make it better, do you prefer this more than that. That's almost a close-ended door. So it's you probably prefer to ask open-ended what type of music you like. If you ask, do you like rock, R&B, rap, then that's close-ended. Sometimes there's a gray area. Okay, so reminders on qualitative research and do's and don'ts. So avoid bias, avoid nudging. So this is usually applied to qualitative questions. Okay, so don't ask for opinions on your solution. Would you so and so? So that's leading question. So you're making them think that they want to. And then the second one here is, hey, I made this for you. Do you want it? So if you're asking a family member or a friend, they'll very likely say yes, even if they actually mean no. So it's don't force it. Don't persuade people, or else you'll get a bias result. So similar, do you want to buy this? So this. So you're pointing to what they want to buy. Again, it's almost forcing. So same. Do you love this? And final one is, would you buy our solution? So again, asking whether they want to buy or not, that's almost a close-ended question. And even worse, it's a leading question. You don't want to lead people to the answer that you want. You want their genuine answers. So what you need to do is ask for the facts on the problem. So what are the details? So here example is, when is the last time you did so and so? So you're actually asking the last time they actually did something. Similar here, tell me about a time when you did so and so. What are the things that you struggle with? So you're asking for more information. So again, qualitative. So you might want to find more details in their stories. So again, share experience, walk me through, help me understand. So asking more in-depth information so that you can understand the customers, their needs, their problems even more. So that's on basics of market research. Now, why market research for startups? So we'll also look at the type of market research as well when we look in these questions. So why do we need to do market research? Why do startups or any business, not just startups, any business, need to do market research? So just validate your market or your customer needs, get a new business idea. 3, understand who potential new customers are. 4, learn more about existing customers. 5, learn about competitors. 6, understand your market size. And 7, avoid bias behavior. So we'll look into one by one. So first one is validate your market or customer needs. So there's something called value proposition canvas. So where you map the customer's key pain points to the solutions that you're providing. So in general, the key pain points include financial. They want something cheaper. Productivity. They want to make it easier. The process, similarly, they find it difficult. They want to make it easier. And support, they need help. There's a problem they're having, they need help. So that's their problems. And then from there, once you understand what the customer's problems are or their key pain points, then you map it to the solutions that you're providing. So you look into your solution, are you actually solving their problem? And then you can ask ask the customers more questions uh, uh, while researching a solution like yours. And you can also research what message is most effective for transforming people into customers or converting them from just viewers to actually buyers. And how would prospects find and engage with your product? So this is a trial where you find out how your customers will actually use. Sometimes you intend the solution to be used in a certain way, but when it reaches the market tends to use it for something else. Okay, second one is to get new business idea. So again, looking at the problem versus solution, you look at the problem, sometimes you can find newer, better solutions. So here is an example of of our alumni is Teach Me Guru. They saw the problem of students requiring better access to quality education. So they provide learning from home, especially during the COVID pandemic. So they actually provided the online education, online tutorials. So when there is a problem, when there's a challenge, there's also an opportunity. So you can find out more business ideas based on what the problems your customers have. Number 3, understand who potential new customers are. So you can research more about your customers. So this is finding your ideal customer or your buyer's persona or customer avatar. So finding out more about them, their like intricate details, their age, gender, marital status, and so on. So then you can identify who exactly will want to buy from you. and who in the future will buy from you. You can imagine it's you can identify your customers, so you know if a business has more men or women, are they young or old, are they working in a specific industry, and so on. So we also have a masterclass on buyer's persona, or in this case customer's avatar. So once you understand who your customers are, then you can identify whether the solution you're providing fits their needs, and also you can also identify how you can reach them, how you can persuade them to want to buy or purchase your solution. Number 4, learn more about existing customers. So even if you are already in business, it's highly recommended to learn more about your customers. You can see this in supermarkets where they have membership cards. So they actually keep track of what you're purchasing and then what you're buying more frequently. So they can identify what are the future things that they need to stock up on. The process of you can, once you understand the process of your customers purchase, then you can apply it to other customers as well. So in this case, we see the awareness stage is where people are aware of your product or service. Consideration stage is when they consider whether to buy or not, and then decision stage is when they're converted. Number 5, learn about competitors. So let's not forget about our competitors. Even though if you are in a new market, eventually there will be competitors. So you need to identify who your competitors are, who are new into the industry, what are the advantages and disadvantages, what customer segments are they focusing on. So if they focus on one customer segment, you can probably focus on another customer segment. So you don't actually have to compete. What marketing tactics are they using, and what isn't working well for your competitors. So the more you know about your competitors, the more you can find out on how you can compete with them more competitively. Okay, and checking chat. No. Okay, so why market research for startups? Okay, number 6, addressable market. So there's something called TAM SAM SOM. So you can see the definition on the right is total addressable market, serviceable available market, and serviceable obtainable market. So TAM, or the total addressable market, is the total possible market that your product or service can potentially reach. And then SAM is the serviceable available market. So the portion of the whole overall total that you can actually target. Usually that's in your reach. So for example, TAM could be the whole world, while SAM is just in Brunei, in the country. And then finally, SOM, or the serviceable obtainable market, is the part of SAM which is realistically going to buy your products or services. I'll give another example later in when we talk about the context in market research. And number 7, avoid biased behavior. So usually when an entrepreneur has an idea, they believe that a lot of people will want it, but the reality might be different. Market research is important to ground us into reality. So the problem with new entrepreneurs, sometimes they just ask their closest friends or their family, and in general they will be biased, so they will tell you what you want to hear. If you ask them, do you want to buy this, they will most likely say yes, even if they don't actually mean it. They'll just be forced to buy from you because you're their family. So market research helps startups to step out of their comfort zone and go beyond speaking to enthusiasts and evangelists, people who are purely a fan. And then you can learn and build on the offering so it resonates with the target audience, with a larger target audience. So speaking about biased behavior, so sometimes we most likely target our fans, our loyal customers, but we forget about the mass market or even the people who don't use your products. But those are actually missed opportunities. Once you can find out why people don't buy from you, you can probably find ways of getting those people to actually buy from you, or at least people below that lah, in the mass market. Okay, so now how do you approach market research? The approach to market research is recommended that you use something called design thinking. So it's not just one time that you do research, but it's a continuous process where you empathize with your customers, define the problems, the questions that you want to ask, ideate the answers, the solutions, and then you can create the research and then you test it out. Then you send out the survey. So a bit more specific on the steps. So here are 6 steps. So the first step is define the problem or opportunity, what your customers might have. Set your research objectives, what you want to reach with that research. Find information that already exists. The second research, as mentioned earlier, this is usually the quantitative data, and then do your own research. So this can either be quantitative or qualitative. Once that's done, then you can analyze the data and act on the result. So example, if you know a certain product is has interest from people of a certain gender, certain age, then you can target those people. Okay, so a bit more detail. So the first part, so the first part is define the problem opportunity. So what's the problem that you have or the customers have? So it can be either way. So in this case, how should you price your product? What product features should you prioritize? Sometimes people want to have it perfect, but you don't have to. If it's good enough, then people will want to buy it. And then sometimes if you're an existing business, you might wonder, why is customer loyalty decreasing? Why are there less customers now? So you might need to again find out why your sales are decreasing. Then how do you get people to spend more on average purchase? So you have a certain product on a certain price, but you want to get people to pay more for something. And is the pain point that you're hoping to address with your solution really a pain point? Is it really something that they really want to solve? Are they willing to pay a lot of money for that solution? So, because when it does, then people are more likely to purchase it. Number 2, set your research objectives. So what do you want to get from the research? So in this case, you want to find out, are they willing to pay a certain amount? So in this case, the first example is what's the subscription price point example, subscription. So $5 per month, $10 per month, $20 per month, $30 per month. So you're wondering, do they prefer this price or that price? The second one, learn if players prefer ability to add more players or have extra levels in our game. So if you're researching about a game, what are the features that they want? And the third one, understand why customers are leaving our product and buying competitor X instead. So in this case, when you're losing customers or you're losing sales, find out why they're leaving your services and then going for other products or services instead. And then second last, learn why customers don't spend over $15 in your meals. So if you want them to buy more than $15 in your restaurant or your shop, then why are they not spending? You can actually ask that. So either in a survey or in an interview, you can ask, and then they will answer. Then you can get the answer. And finally, verify whether people in fact mind taking the bus from metro stop. So this is an example if whether people have transport issues. I think an example in Brunei will be if we need an app for public transport. Question is there a lot of people using public transport? And if there is, why? And if there's not, why not? So you can find out more based on your research objective. Number 3, find out what information already exists. So secondary research. So you can look at your competitors, you can look in industry, you can look at government. Again, the sources of your secondary research. Once you have the secondary research, then you can complement it with your own research. Because sometimes the secondary research might be outdated, so you might want to double check if it's still true. And especially since it's maybe a different market, and then you have a very unique market, so you want to complement that with your own primary research. Okay, and then almost at the end, you need to analyze your data. So you need to organize it. This is easier with quantitative data. You can analyze it into graphs and charts. And then qualitative information can complement the quantitative findings. So example, do they like spicy food? Then you can ask just yes or no. But then what type of spicy do they like? What level do they like? Is it salty, sour, whatever? So what is it that they prefer? And then finally, you want to present your main findings, especially if you have investors or partners, to share the findings of your research. And I think finally, finally, on the process is the marketing plan. So based on what you know about your customers, about your industry, then what can you do to get them to be aware of your product and service, consider and decide buying your product or service. Okay, so that's on the approach, the step-by-step process of creating your research. Now let's look a bit more in depth, more example based on the context. So in general, market research is usually done for well, in business is for the business plan usually, but it can also be used for the business model canvas or the lean canvas or any other models. So let's look into the market research in business plan. So there's usually one part of the business plan, the market research section, and in general, it looks into these four parts: the customers, the competition, the market factors, and SWOT. So I've already covered this in a previous YouTube video on the business planning, but I'll go a bit deeper now on this session. Okay, so customers. So you want to identify who your customers are. So the question is usually the market size and the segmentation. So if you understand who your customers are based on your solution, then you can identify how many are your potential customers. So in this example is tudongs or shawls. So in general, you don't want to target the whole of Brunei because not all Bruneians will buy tudong or shawls. So usually it's the females who are of working age and who are Muslim. And based on the secondary data that you can research from the government, roughly they'll say there are 50%, Bruneians are 50% females, about 50% of that is of working age, and about 75% of that are Muslim. So those are the most likely people who are going to buy the shawls. So again, the importance of understanding who your customers are, then you can identify your market size. Now, more recently, instead of using the simple market size, we mentioned this before, you can look into the TAM SAM SOM. So again, total addressable market, the serviceable addressable market, and the serviceable obtainable market. So the TAM, the total addressable market, is the total potential sales that you can get. So let's just say we're not just targeting women in Brunei, we're targeting all the women in the world. So let's just assume population, it should be almost 8 billion by now. So 3 to 4 billion is your total addressable market in the world. But in the serviceable addressable market, let's just say you're targeting just Bruneians. So half of Bruneian women is 200,000 people. So that's the serviceable addressable market, but not all of them will buy tudong. So then we want to look into the serviceable obtainable market. So that's specifically when we're looking earlier. So it's Muslim women and they're working. So about 75,000 people based on the statistics. So that's your serviceable obtainable market. Now, sometimes when people use TAM SAM SOM, it's not just in units on the available customers, but they might want to look into the total amount of sales. So let's assume that a simple shawl is $10 on average, and people and women will buy it like once a month. So then you convert it to the dollar sign, so times by $10, so you'll get the total addressable market is $30 billion per month, and women in Brunei 2 million, and then Muslim working women in Brunei is 750,000. So it look at these numbers, it will entice the investors into wanting to invest in the business. Of course, don't forget, we also want to look into the competitors, because not all that 750,000 in Brunei will be yours. It will be shared by the competitors. So on that note, looking at competition, so in competition, you want to identify who are your direct competitors, who are also selling shawls in this example, who are also selling tudongs, and then indirect competitors who are selling to the women who if they're not wearing tudong, what else would they be wearing. So it could be well, similar looking shawls or caps or headdress or anything else. So identify who are the direct competitors and indirect competitors, and then from there you identify the strengths and the weakness. So if you feel that your strength is comparable to theirs, you can easily compete. But if not, then you want to take advantage of the weaknesses. So what are they not addressing? What is it that their customers are complaining? So once you identify what are the weaknesses, you can fill in that gap. So you can fill in that market need. A simple example is, in my case, one of the things I do is I also coach swimming. So there's a huge market. There's a huge market for swimming classes, but most of the coaches actually teach children. Not a lot of the coaches teach adults. So there's a gap there. So that's why I focus more on teaching adults. So that's again direct and indirect competition. Okay, next is the market factors. So there's several ways of looking at it. One of it is the Porter's 5 forces. So there are 5 aspects. So first one is obviously the competitors itself. Who are your other competitors in whatever industry that you are in, whether it's food and beverage or if it's coaching or retail business. And then from there, you can look vertically, the threat of new entrants and threat of substitute products. So new entrants, new competitors, and then threat of substitute products, so competing products. And on the left and right is the power of suppliers and the power of buyers. So if the suppliers increase the pricing, then you might have to increase your price and then transfer it to the buyers. But if the buyers don't have a lot of money, then they'll buy less. So you probably have to try to reduce your price. So yeah, there's that balance, trying to find that balance. So that's Porter's 5 forces, and then there's another one is the pest factors, the market factors. In some cases, there's also pastel, but I like to keep the original. So pest, so political or governmental factors, and then economical, social, and technological. So political, in general, is what the government is planning to do or is doing that will affect your business, whether it's positively or negatively. And then economical, the industry, the market, the customers, how well off are they? Are they going to buy more or less? Um, what are the economical issues that might force people to buy more or less? And then there's a social factor. So there's usually trends. So in your business, what are the trends? So in tudong or shawls, there's their own trends, different fashion. In food, there's a trend in health foods. So it might affect certain businesses. For example, the trend in keto diet. So they eat less carbs. So it affects restaurants, well, most normal restaurants who provide carbs, which includes me, rice, and so on. So less of those people who do keto will eat at those places, and they will go for more healthier places. And then there's technological factors. So what are the new technologies that will affect your operations, your product or services, or your customers? The simplest one that people look into is usually social media or the online conferencing. So what are the new technology that affects business? So that's the pest factors, and then finally, usually in the business plan, it ends with the SWOT. So strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So it's actually divided 2 by 2. So strengths and weaknesses are internal to you. What are your strengths and your weaknesses, your positives and your negatives? And then on the other side is external. So the things that are outside your control, which we also covered, which are your customers, your competition, and the market factors. So if those external factors are positive for you, then they are your opportunities. Well, if there's a negative for you, then they are your threats. So there's a blurry line sometimes between the internal and external. In general, internal is some things that is internal to you that you can control, you can improve. If you have a weakness, you can improve. If it's external, if there's something negative, you can't really change it. So you don't have any control over it, but you can take opportunity or you can avoid the threat. So that's what. So that's in the business plans. So uh, next is we're gonna look into business model canvas. Okay, just checking for any chats. I don't see any. Okay, cool. Okay. So next is business model canvas. Market research in the context of business model canvas. So you've seen this before in the business planning, the previous YouTube live stream. But now we're gonna look into specifically on market research for through the business plan, business model canvas. So here I'm sharing the link, okay, to the explanation to the business model canvas. Okay, so you can scan the you can scan the QR code so that you can watch the video. This is a very brief explanation of the business model canvas, but I'm gonna explain the business model canvas, but in terms of market research. So if you learn about the business model canvas, then this is more of a revision. But if you haven't, we also have a masterclass on business model canvas. So once that comes up, then you can sign up for it. Okay, so now let's look into individually. So in market research, so the value proposition are the things, the product and service that you want to provide. So in the business model canvas, you want to research whether this product is satisfactory, if it's so actually solving people's problems. So identifying whether your product or service is good enough. And then customer, next we look at the customer segments. So you think that these types of people will want to use your products or services. Okay, just checking. Okay, oh, BMC. Okay, so yeah, burger daging. Ada some people atau Brunei meat and chicken tu. Ada je Brunei Methanol Company, ada je buttermilk chicken. So it's not that, it's business model canvas. Banyak lah BMC ni. Okay, back to here. So customer segments, so identifying who your customers are. So this is actually the main part in the business model canvas that you want to look into in market research. So you think these people want to use your product. So you go to these people, in general, the main target lah, whether they actually want your products or services. And then we look into the channels, so the marketing channels. You identify which marketing channels do these people want to go to. So in general, most people will want to go social media, but it depends on your customers. So certain people, different countries will want to use different channels. So example, in Brunei, usually the youth goes into IG and TikTok, while the older generation goes into FB, maybe IG a bit lah. So depends on your target market. So you can actually, in your research, ask them what channels do they go to. Do they read newspapers? Do they go to social media? Which social media? So you can identify how you can reach your target market. So next we have customer relationship. How do they prefer to be served? So it's simple, they want just in and out, just buy and sell, or do they want a bit more help? Do they want a bit more personal connection? How do they want to be served? So again, this can also be useful for after service. You find out how well you serve your customers. And then finally in the product side, okay, is the revenue streams. So how much are you charging? So you want to charge a certain price, but will the customer be willing to pay? You want to charge $5, $10, whatever. So you think, again, creating the business model canvas, you have an idea of how you want to run the business, but you need to double check with your customers, with your target customers, are they willing to pay? So always double check. Okay, so that's why we look into market research. Next, key activities. So other activities you need to do in the business. So in terms of market research, not much on this one. This is more internal. So you identify what activities, what process that you need to do. But then sometimes certain activities require certain permits. So in that case, you want to research what do you need to have or what do you need to do in order to do what you need to do. So again, a bit of research lah. More on internal and it's not really target researching your target customers. It's more like researching whether what you want to do is viable or not. Next is key resources. So usually when you're starting up, you want to know what are the resources that you need. So if you're opening a food stall, you need a gas tank, you need a rice cooker, you need whatever resources that you need. Okay, whatever resources that you need, and then what are the prices. So in that case, you want to research how much what you need and how much it costs. So again, research. And next is key partners. So key partners is where you identify who you need in order to make the business a success or to make the business easier. So sometimes even a good example is when you're doing events. If you're doing an event management company, you ask certain companies, do they want to partner up? How do they want to partner up? So you can actually get more information on how certain companies want to partner. Sometimes they have the budget to support you, or they don't have that much budget but they are willing to give their time or effort. So you can identify, you can research your key partners. And finally is the cost structure. As mentioned, based on the key resources, you identify what are the costs involved. Based on your activities, what are the expenses involved in making sure what you want to make or do can happen. So again, even though in planning, so again, this is also part of design thinking. So you already have a business, maybe if you have already planned, you already have a business model canvas, but you need to research whether that business model canvas is viable or not. So this is actually one of the purpose of business model canvas. It's not just to present and share, but you can use it to research about your market. So you can actually just create your business model canvas first, then share with people. You get feedback from them, and then they can give you feedback on how to improve it or what they think is missing, or whatever it is. It's also useful when you give or show or share to investors or bankers. Then they will also provide you feedback on what they think that you need to improve. Ooh, okay. So there's a question there is, does context includes key resources? Yes. I'm not sure what you mean by context specifically, but in general, your customers, your database is a resource. So if you already have a database of customers, you can easily do marketing. So you don't have to go social media. If you have their email or their phone number, then you can easily just contact them and just inform them. In other case, for context is partners. You have contacts of companies. The example I was using is event management. You have list of contacts of who you want to sponsor for that event. So they are resources. So let me just go back to the key resources for a while. So just to go in deeper, back. Key partners, key resources. Okay, so key resources. The type of resources: physical, intellectual, human, and financial. So context goes under humans. Yeah, yes, suppliers. Yes, so suppliers also goes under key partners. But yeah, a bit redundant. But it's good to put out key resources as in the things that you have. Well, key partners are things that you can outsource. So yes, the your resource of your suppliers. So who can supply you with the things that you need? So yes, those are your key resources as well. Okay, moving on to okay. So if no other questions, again, if you have any questions, just ask. Thank you for the questions. So I'll just answer as soon as I can. As soon as I check chat if there's any questions. Thank you for the questions, by the way. Okay, next up is, okay, we're almost at the end here. Lean canvas. So it's very similar to the business model canvas, as mentioned in the previous session. Lean canvas came after business model canvas. In general, it's an improvement upon the business model canvas. But personally, I prefer originals, so I will go for the business model canvas. Lean canvas is a concise and quick way to formulate hypothesis about business or about your business. It is an alternative to BP or business plan. So this is the previous, I think, the template that we use for the lean canvas. But if you search it up, there has been a few improvements. So this is slightly newer layout of the lean canvas. So you can actually scan the QR code, and then you can download the template for the lean canvas. So again, similar. There's a lot of similarities. So for all the similarities, I'll just briefly go through it because it has similarities to business model canvas. So let's look at the unique value proposition. So in business model canvas, it's just value proposition, but in lean canvas, it highlights unique. The word unique. So what makes you different from other people? What makes your product or services different from other people? And there's the specific down there is high level concept. So an analogy for your business. So in example, earlier when I shared Teach Me Guru, it's, you could say, like Uber for education example. So again, from market research, you can identify whether your value proposition is actually unique, whether it's valuable. So that's just a repeating. Customer segments already covered, but here there's a label here called early adopters. So if you remember, we were talking about avoiding bias. So you want to look not just your early adopters, but also the mass market and also the late adopters or the people who don't want to buy from you at all. So in this case, they want to highlight the specific people who are going to buy from your business. So again, example tadi, the shawls, the tudungs. So women, Muslim, working. So specific, be more specific. So customer segments in general, but early adopters, the main ones who's gonna be your loyal customers. Okay, and then channel similar as with small canvas, skipping. Okay, and unfair advantage. So it's almost similar to the point of unique value proposition, but this what makes you even more unique, even gives you an advantage. Maybe you're the first mover. Maybe maybe your process is faster, cheaper. So what makes it better? So again, you can use the market research to check whether it's true, whether you actually have an unfair advantage on that point. And then problems and solutions. So uh, asking the customer problems, so identifying what the problems, you think that this is their problems, but you think, so you need to ask the customers if this is their main problems, so you can actually find a solution for those problems, for those real problems. And then if those are their problems, then you can look at the solution that you're providing, whether it's the solution that they actually need, whether it's the solution is actually helpful for them, and so on. Okay, so again, you can base your market research questions on your either business model canvas or lean canvas. So in this case, it's more specific on the problems and solutions. And then something unique for the lean canvas is the key metrics. It's almost similar to the key activities, but the key metrics is something specific. So let's just say an example of the key metrics is how much you want to sell in a month. So based on that, you need to do the research on whether that's a realistic number. If people are willing to buy at a certain price and buy at a certain frequency, so then you can find out if that metrics is possible. Okay, and then almost at the end, we have the cost structure similar to the business model canvas cost structure and the revenue structure, revenue stream or revenue structure. Okay, so it's similar to the business model canvas. So that's it on business plan, business model canvas, and lean canvas on market research. So again, those are your plans, but you can use market research to refine your business ideas, your products and services. Okay, finally, just a quick and final one, and then we can almost end the session. So misconceptions regarding market research. So this is just one slide. So misconceptions. So market research is not relevant for disruptive innovations. So some people think if it's very new, it's difficult to do market research on it. But it is possible. If you have a new prototype, you can test it out while you're marketing that product. So example here is Sony Walkman and Apple's iPhone. Essentially, it's ultimately very new, but initially they actually tested it out with customers and how they wanted to use it. If I remember correctly, with Sony Walkman, it was actually a recording device. And then at some point, instead of people just using it for recording, they actually used it, well, recording as well, but they use it to play music. So they use it as a Walkman to listen to music. Okay, so it is applicable even for disruptive innovations. And then number two, startups don't have the resources to do market research. Some people think you need a lot of resources to do market research. You don't have to, especially nowadays. I remember there were times when you actually have to have a marketing team or market research team or R&D team to do surveys, to create the surveys, to hand over to people to analyze the data. But now it's all easy, especially with online forms, with Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, and so on. So you can easily just find more sources, and then to share it, you can either use your WhatsApp, your Facebook, your IG. Just use your existing networks. So you don't actually have to need a lot of resource, just a bit of time and effort. And then number three, market research has no ROI or return on investing. So some people think it's a waste of money, waste of time, but in fact, if you spend time on it, it's actually quite um, it does have a return on investment, because you can imagine if you just do the business without any market research and then the business fails. So if you research first, then you can identify what are the potential pitfalls. That's actually a good return with a bit of effort trying to find out if it works or not. If it works, then you just continue with the business. If it doesn't, then at least you save your time and effort in the business itself. So here you in market research, you can establish the size of potential market. Then your investors would love to see that potential. So here, determine size of segmentation and market and of your market, and prioritize so different segments. So which segments are more likely to be your customers, so then you can focus more on those segments rather than everyone else. As mentioned earlier with the lean canvas, especially there's the early adopters. So you want to target the early adopters first, then the rest of the market will follow. A good example is Apple. When they started off, Apple, iPod, iPad, iPhone. So when they started off, it was a small market, just the early adopters. They focused on the early adopters, and then the rest followed. So next, so with market research, you uncover your needs and pain points of potential customers. So sometimes you think they have this problem, but then you find out they have another problem, and that maybe another solution that you have can provide. Yeah, and then validate and refine user personas. This is on the buyer persona or the customer avatar. Again, identifying who they are, then you can easily solve their problems. So in general, it's optimizing the market to focus on highest returns. So it improves on your ROI. And once you understand your competition, you don't have to compete so much with them. So you can actually save costs on competing. And more importantly, you obtain unbiased feedback on what people really think about your product. So in general, that's priceless. So that's basically it on the session. So if you're interested to find out more, if you want to learn more in depth, you can join our workshop. So in the YouTube live, it's mostly just me talking, maybe answering a few questions on chat, but it's more for most people. I would say most people would understand more if you're taking a live class. Among the workshops that we recommend is joining the business plan series. So that's where we teach people how to write a business plan. So there's a small part on market research there. You can actually do activities on the market research so you can understand more. And then there's the master classes I mentioned on design thinking. So the process is iterative. So it's not just one go and then that's it. In market research, it's best to apply design thinking, where you have an idea, you test it out. If it works, and then you continue. If not, then you fix it and then try again. And then, as mentioned earlier, the last part is the business model canvas and lean canvas. So if you want to find out more, or if you want to have an activity that helps you understand it more in depth, then you can join our workshop on business model canvas and lean canvas specifically. And then we also have market research. So basically, most of the slides were copied from the market research slides. But the difference in the workshops is there will be activities involved. So again, with the activities, you'll understand a bit more on market research. And then there's one topic is the bias persona. It's not enough to include in the market research. So we separated from the market research itself. So we have a specific activity on the buyer's persona. So it's a specific masterclass on the buyer's persona. And we also have sales and marketing. So after you do your market research, then you can do sales and marketing. And even in the sales and marketing, we also teach people to do market research first before you do sales and marketing. Because again, the problem, if you don't identify who your market is, then you try to market it to everyone, then you just lose money. A good example is, how many people still read newspapers? So some people do. Usually rich people still do. So if you want to target rich people, yes, you go for the newspapers. But if you're gonna target like the youth, then you want to target FB, IG, well not FB, IG and IG and TikTok. Okay, so if any questions, just ask in chat. Hopefully it pops up before we end the session and then I'll answer it. But while waiting for people to ask any questions, I'll just go through the slides. Okay, the end of the slides. So just sharing again, share LiveWIRE. We have a lot of programs and activities that you can join. As mentioned, we have the master classes on business model canvas, lean canvas, market research, and so on. So several trainings. If you're interested, just follow our IG and website. You can even subscribe to newsletters. Then you can find out more on any updates. Okay, and then we also have other events. Previously, we did a hackathon, but now we have another awards competition. But before joining that, or when you're joining that, you also look into business plan series. So we'll teach you how to write up a business plan, how to do the market research in business plan in detail. Okay, vision workshop. I'm just skip. Business awards. So as I mentioned, we are running right now the business awards competition. So if you wanna find out more, that's on the LiveWIRE website, livewirebrunei.com. I will probably give a link in the description later, and please join because it's a huge opportunity for you to learn. So you can do your market research and test it out with the panel of judges, see what they define. So again, it's also a bit of market research. So before testing out with the market, you test out with the panel of judges first. You test out with LiveWIRE first, then you go for the main market. Okay, and just showcasing our iCashflow.bn again. So this is our cash flow management application. You can download it from Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store. So if you're running a business, you can use this to manage your finances, your expenses, and your purchases and your revenue. But some people have used it for personal purposes. Okay, so let me show the link. So that's the QR code. So we'll also give you the link in the description later. But yeah, you can scan it now. You can pause it here and then you can scan it. Okay, and just to showcase our profiles ebook, where we showcase recently or previously successful entrepreneurs that came from LiveWIRE Brunei. So again, you can pause here, scan the QR code and download the ebook or view the ebook from your mobile device. Okay, so if you haven't found out yet, we actually recently moved. So previously we were on the ground floor, but now we're on the first floor of Block B of the progressive building. So you can find out more by meeting us there, or just check our website livewirebrunei.com, or on our IG and FB. Just look for LiveWIRE Brunei and like and follow. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to the LiveWIRE YouTube channel for any updates when any live events are up. So just a reminder, so next topic is on marketing strategies. So that's in July. We'll update the dates when usually within a week before we go live. But if you have the notification on the subscription, you'll be informed when we have the sessions. Okay, so that's the end. So just checking on any chats or questions. Nope, no questions. So I think that's about it. And that's basically on time. Less than 1 hour. So that's on target. So thank you for listening. I hope the session was useful for you. Okay, and I hope to see you again in the next session. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye. Stop streaming.